Good afternoon, this is Mike Boehler with the Link Local Network. Link locally, connect globally. We're here at the national headquarters of Mediavine Marketing in Bloomingdale, Illinois, and we very much appreciate being able to use their facilities. Have a real treat today. We have some call him one of the titans of the industry, and that would be Mike Dunlap, Mike Dunlap and Associates. Mike, thanks for being on the show today.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Mike.
That's great. What can you tell us about Mike Dunlap and Associates?
Well, we're a business-to-business business consulting firm. We're focusing primarily on the business and institutional furniture manufacturing industry, which includes office, healthcare, education, and hospitality.
Okay. Now, have you been in the business for a significant amount of time?
I've been in the business for over 30 years. I spent most of my time as a Tier 1 supplier, but I've been operating in consulting business since 2003.
Okay. What's a Tier 1 supplier, Mike?
Tier 1 suppliers are businesses that supply components and raw materials, in some cases services, directly to manufacture. In the case of furniture, companies that would supply fabric or mechanisms or stampings and plastic components. Same would be true for the automotive industry for companies that supply similar components to the vehicle manufacturers.
Okay. So you guys started 30 years ago. It's a logical progression of how we've moved up to the point where now you have your own company?
I think so, and it's been a nice change. I spent 25 years, just shy of 25 years, with a component supplier to the automotive, appliance, and furniture industries, and so I had a broad experience in multiple areas, and I've taken that experience and applied it to the furniture industry.
All right, let's now. I know you explained what Michael A. Dunlap Associates does, but I understand you put out a number of different types of surveys to help everyone in the industry, and not only that, but your reach is global. You're in a number of different companies.
I do a quarterly survey, which I survey both furniture manufacturers and suppliers, and also some service providers. I also include a few major dealers in that. I measure 10 specific criteria, starting with gross sales and then an order backlog, capital expenditures, tooling expenditures, hours worked, hiring trends, employee costs, material costs, product development activity, and then last but not least, personal outlet. And based on these 10 questions, we then calculate an industry-wide survey, index rather. And we've had our 29th quarterly survey, so we go back to the summer of 2004.
Wow, 29 after you don't look that old to me. But nonetheless, is there anybody in that particular space that perhaps doesn't participate in that? I mean, with the reach that you have, this has to be one of the premier publications within the industry that people keep track of what's going on, isn't it?
Well, it is, and we send the survey out to over 600 people around the world, and really in 5 continents.
Wow.
And it's been highly respected. And usually about half to 3/4 of the survey respondents are C-level people, CEOs, chairmen, presidents, and so forth. So because of that, we have a great deal of respect, and also it tells us a lot that the industry thinks that the survey is as important as it possibly can be.
Well, it's certainly not something that's taken lightly if you have all the C-level people responding to it, because they have interest in it also, and it helps them, I would imagine, keep their finger on the pulse of kind of what's going on within their own industry.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's kind of a nice position to be in, isn't it?
I think so too, and it's really helped our firm gain a reputation as being really the go-to organization in the furniture industry.
I know an associate of mine had the pleasure of meeting you at one of the large conventions for the industry, and as he had mentioned that you know everybody.
Well, I sometimes joke that I do know everybody, but every once in a while somebody comes along and I haven't met yet, so it actually gets to be an inside joke.
Okay. Hey, what do you see in the previous? Oh, I don't know whether it's. I believe you said you do these quarterly, right?
Yes, I do.
What do you? What have you seen trends perhaps that have moved along here? Uh, I don't know, as far back as you'd like to go, or what's changing. You know, certainly right now the economic climate. Who knows what's going on with the market? But even from 2 years ago or three, when we went through the first portion of the recession, let's say.
Well, the furniture industry has gone through two significant recessions itself. First of all, the industry hit a peak level in the year 2000, and then went into a free fall for the next 3.5 years, and sales volume dropped off over 30%, and began a relatively slow recovery in the spring of 2004, and peaked again in 2008, and then into 2009 went into another free fall. And instead of taking 3 years to hit bottom, it only took about 4 months. So it was a really difficult time for the industry.
Wow.
Since spring of 2010, so I'd say really the last 5 quarters, the industry has been on a nice and steady and solid rebound. Whether or not this current economic situation is going to affect the industry, it's hard to say, primarily because the furniture industry tends to be somewhat of a lagging industry. In other words, it's not being driven like the consumer economy. So consequently, if we happen to get into a double dip situation here this fall, I don't think it's going to affect the furniture industry until very late in this year or early next year. But the industry's on a good path right now.
It is. Now, would it be considered that they would be capital expenditures for the industry? I mean, whether companies are willing to spend the money to either upgrade or me not knowing how people purchase or perhaps lease this stuff, how's that working? Or how does that work?
In some cases, it's considered to be capital goods, but one of the drivers, Mike, what drives companies to buy office furniture typically is hiring of new employees or major expansion in facilities. When companies are not hiring, especially in the white collar environment, there's no need for new furniture.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's probably the biggest driver right now.
Has there been a fair amount of consolidation since, I believe you mentioned 2000, where they've gone through, some good times and or some bad times? Is the industry getting smaller in terms of the people that are the suppliers or distributors and or the manufacturers?
Interestingly, Mike, no. We have roughly the same number of furniture manufacturers today as we did 10 or 11 years ago. Yes, there's been some fallout and some very modest consolidation, both for furniture manufacturers and suppliers. Very different than many other industries.
Well, also within the industry, hasn't it expanded to a number? I mean, from just, I don't know, I suppose furniture to healthcare to, it's gotten a wider. I don't know how would you explain it?
Well, there's a couple things. First of all, the office environment itself has changed considerably in terms of product. Number one, we've gone from the old panel-based systems to more open plan product, lower walls, more movable furniture. So you've got a situation where you've got less material and less furniture involved. Secondly, seating has become much more sophisticated, so that's changed the product mix. The next thing, of course, is the additional markets I mentioned, healthcare, education, and then hospitality. The healthcare market has been booming, and the education markets have been very, very strong. And the other phenomena that I've identified back in 2005 is what I call crossover furniture. What I mean by that, if we turn the clock back, say 20 or 25 years ago, we look at any particular furniture segment, and it would be very easy to say, this piece of furniture goes into a healthcare environment. This is an office chair. This is an education product, whereas now they've become a little more blended, and so that's changed how product is manufactured, how it's distributed, and how it is used. So there are two major changes right there.
All right. Mike, we're going to have to wrap it up, but promise you'll come back and talk to us again.
Absolutely. Thank you for
How are folks
having
going
me
to...
on.
Oh, you bet. How are folks get a hold of you? I mean, if everybody else in the industry, including all the C-level people, are listening, I would imagine there's some other people that have some questions too.
Well, my website is www.mdunlap, that's MDUNLAP -associates.com.
Okay.
Email is mike@mdunlap-associates.com, and I can be reached at 616-786-3524, and I'm located on the beautiful shores of Lake Michigan in Holland, Michigan.
Holland, Michigan. I know where that is. Give us that phone number again, just in case. I'm kind
Sure,
of...
616-786-3524.
All right, thanks, Mike. Come back and talk to us again. Promise you will.
Absolutely.
This is Mike Boehler at the Link Local Network. Link locally, connect globally.